Hello everyone, welcome to Code Scuela, and we're back to another episode of our Excel to Blazor series, wherein we will try to create an Excel template into a Blazor application. So before we continue, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel to get the latest updates. So let's jump right in. So yeah, as a quick recap of what we did previously, we have already set up our uh, application to have an option to select each of the category, each uh, budget items by a category. So now we only have a single page that is the center of our application. So let's just quickly run our project here so that you have an idea of what we have already built up so far. So let's just quickly run this one and see what we have. All right. Okay. So let me pull up the application. Right. So now we have budget items, and then this is what our UI uh, currently looks like now. So we have a drop down here where we can select the category, and then after selecting, then it will load up all of the budget items under it. Okay. So for now, we don't have yet an option to or a function to save the data uh, for these budget items. So whenever you change here, you just need to save this one. But before that one, we will add a function that allows us to uh, save a new budget item to our list. All right. So we will have to modify this page now to include that function. Okay. Let's stop this. And now we will set up our form. Okay. So first off is let's add an edit form or a form control. So in this case, we will be simply using the edit form component, edit form, right? Now, to hook up our edit form, we will need to have an a backing field for that, or a model that would uh, hook up our edit form to our data. Okay, so here, let's add a backing field for that one. So in this case, it would be just a budget item. Let's name it budget item edit. No, budget item uh, add model. Okay, so let's do that. And then our initialize, let's override a uh, uh, let's override what do you call this one? A state or a stage in the cycle of a component. So in this case, we will just have to initialize our budget item. Okay. So now, what we would need to do here is set up our model, which in this case would be the budget item add model. We also need to add form name to identify this form. Uh, Add budget item form. Okay. And then after that, we need to hook up a method that would allow us to add a save logic to our form. Okay. So whenever we add a form, a budget item, this would be the method that we will run or will be executed. In this case, we will only submit the form when it is valid. Okay, so let's just assign it as the save method. Let's quickly add that save method here. Save. Okay. So now we have our basic form. We have not added yet the fields for this one. So next up is uh, setting up our fields. Okay. So for us to do that, we will have to have a label. The name would be, we have three fields, right, that we will need to uh, include the label, and then we will be using input text component for this one, and then we will have to assign the model. Okay, so in that case, what we will do is bind the value of that into oops, budget item model dot name. Okay, now let's also add uh, let's add a class here, class form. Okay, now that we have that, so let's quickly look at how we could lay out our form using Bootstrap. So we have here some examples of layouting. So in this case, you can have forms, form grid, right? So you can, as you can see, you can just uh, straight up use, add a form row class to your forms. Okay, so you have an example here of the basic uh, format for your fields. So you have your label, and then you have your input text, but in this case we'll be using uh, this one, input text control or component. Okay, so let's add here a class row, and yeah, class call 3. Okay, then we can add the rest. So let's review what other form controls or uh, form components we can use. Blazor, uh, okay, let's go to this one. So we have input components, we have several options. So we can use this input number for our uh, other fields, which is the projected cost. Let's name this also the label, projected cost. And the other one would be actual cost, actual cost, actual cost. Okay, so instead of input text, input number. Okay, so let's try running this one. We might have forgotten 36. Okay, let's add another button. That's the actual save button. Class call 3. Let's wrap it in a column, and then so this one, we shouldn't be having this one here. Let's take this one. Let's remove this so it doesn't, the layout doesn't look uh, awkward. Okay, now when you let's change this type to save. So when you click the save button, then it would just run the save method. Okay, so let's add a console.writeLine here so that we can actually see that this one gets hit. Okay, or we just add a breakpoint here. So let's run our application and see how it would look. So we have an error, decimal to string. Ah, yes, forgot to change this one also, right? So do we have any other errors? Okay, let's try again. Okay, so now we have this input row. Seems that our button seems a bit awkward. Okay, okay, so let's just skip the part where I was struggling to lay out the edit form. So yeah, this is what I have done with this one. So we have already set up our form. So what I did was add a class, set it with the row class, and then align item center, and then add a gutter of 2, and then set each of the individual columns into its specific sizes, which in this case would be 5 for the name, 3 for the projected cost, 3 for the actual cost, and then one column for the save button. Now, I did a bit of a, I guess, can consider as a hack. So I added a label, but this one is an empty label so that I could align the save button flush at the bottom. So I was trying to find a way using the other flex classes, but yeah, I was unsuccessful with that. So I ended up with like this kind of layout. So yeah, just bear with me on this one because I'm not quite really good with CSS. So, but anyways, so this is what has the layout has given us. So this is now like a much better layout. So we have the our form here wherein we can add our budget item. Okay, so now let's go and jump into the actual code that would allow us to save our budget item. So we click save, then yeah, we have successfully hooked our save method for this one from our save button. Okay, if you want to know the output on the console, so this is what's on the console. We have the save text here written out. Okay, now we will have to add the actual logic to allow us to save the budget item. But before that, we have forgotten another aspect of this form. We have missed the validation. So we will need to have validation for our budget item before saving to our database. So in this case, we would at least require that the name is uh, required for as an input as part of the input. Okay, so to do that, let's just stop this also. So what we can do to add validation to our forms is that we can simply add data annotations to our model. So in this case, we are using the budget item. So let's head out to our budget item and then let's add data annotations for this one. Okay, so let's add required. Okay, so you notice that required here is coming from system.component model the data annotations. This will be the one that we will be using. So if we just enter, and then it will just also include the required namespace. So in this case, we have already hooked up our budget item validation for specifically for our name field. Okay, now how do we hook that up to our form here? So for the validation to uh, trigger or take effect, we need to add the data annotations validator component. Okay, and also we can add a validation message for each of the field. For in this case, we will add it here for our name field. Okay, so we'll just add validation message component. Then we'll set the for property into that our budget item model dot name. Okay, now in this case we have already hooked this one up. So now the save method will only be triggered or executed if our form is valid. Okay, so let's run this one to see the output. Okay, now where is my form? All right, now let's go back to our budget item. So if you click save, then you can see that validation is triggered. In this case, the field name or the name field is required. You can also add other validation uh, attributes or annotations to your model. So there are several uh, annotations that you can add as part of your validation for each of the fields. But for this one, we can just add required name or the required validation for name. So yeah, again, our uh, field here is a bit like uh, messy, but anyways, but if you enter value, any value here, and you tab out or change focus, then it would pass the validation, which means that you can now trigger your save method here. But in this case, we have not yet added the actual logic. Okay, let's just continue. And that is how you add validation to your forms. So we could try adding another one, for example, projected cost. So we can add, uh, let's say, a range of values, which means it only allows this kind of maximum value. Okay, but in this case, max, yeah. So maximum value for that, and then not lower than uh, 0. Okay, so if we check out this one, minimum. So minimum 0, anything lower than 0 is not allowed. So we try this one. So we have that one, and then, okay. So if we go lower, tab out, oh, it's still, okay. I guess we need to rerun this. Let's try again. The range would be anything from 0 upwards. I don't know if why it isn't. So if I have that one, negative, oh yeah. So we have here, it has turned red, the outline turned red. We can also add the message. Okay, so we can quickly copy and paste this one, change the field or property, projected cost. Okay, I think we could, let's just try adding also the actual cost. Okay, let's add a range for that. Then let's add also the validation message for this one. The actual cost, save everything, save everything. Why is not working? File, save, Shift S. Okay, now it's saved. Let's see. Yeah, it's a bit wonky, but yeah, anyways, we can still see that the validation that we added is working. This one, yeah, we need to restart, but you get the idea. So what's this? It's a bit too big value, too big value. Yeah. Anyways, we can fix this layout later. And so yeah, you get the idea of how we add validation to our uh, model. So we can quickly see, we can check out this part of the documentation. Can add several validation uh, components that we can use. So via data annotations, or we can, let's quickly look up namespace. Okay, so we have here, I think this would be the list of available annotations that we could use. So yeah, I guess this is the list. So we have already have used the required one, and then we have also used the range attribute. So range, yeah, along with some other available attributes or annotations that we can use. Yeah, we can also validate email addresses. You can validate the length if you're dealing with strings or string property. Max length also, maximum number of strings allowed. Yeah, these all of these annotations are available for you to use. Okay, and so now let's quick let's add the actual logic wherein we can save our budget item. So how do we do that? So since we have passed, or the save method is only uh, triggered when the form is valid, then we can just add a var new budget budget item is equal. That's explicitly item. But in this case, we will be using its budget item. Let's initialize. So let's set up our fields here. The name is equal to budget item model name, then oops, projected cost, then actual cost. Okay, next would be passing it to our service. So let's budget service that. So yeah, you may not, I mean, you might have noticed that we have no method for saving our budget items. So let's add that to budget item. We have forgotten to also set the category. So in this case, we have selected category, and this one add. So since this isn't available yet, see it complains that no. Okay, so budget service. So let's add this, or let's just head out to our budget service. Okay, let's add it here. Uh, void. No. Add budget item. So this would be model. So now this model that we have also now works like a DTO. or data transfer object. So yeah, you can get very specific wherein you just use the another DTO on top of the model or view model, but in this case I think, yeah, this time around it would be just enough to use this both as a uh, view model and a DTO. Okay, now let's head out to our service and let's implement the budget service. Okay, now that we have that, next we can do is, of course, using our budget context. Hold on a minute. Okay, now we can have add item, db.add item. Yeah, Jellicent seems to be pretty helpful this time. Or you can also do budget items add. Why is this cleaning? Okay. Okay. Yeah, we're only accepting entity. So we have forgotten. Uh, yeah. So I think we have missed it. We should be adding model entity. No. Okay. Uh, this one we move not inside here, but into our budget service. So let's change this to accept the budget item add model. And inside our budget service, this is where we create our actual uh, entity, item, item category. We have also forgotten to set it. So we need to pass this also, that category is equal to selected category. Jump back here, then set this as item, item. Okay, now we have add new budget item. Okay, now for us to commit this data, we need to save changes. Okay, that's it. So now we have hooked up our uh, form to this save method, and all we have to do now is try running this if this works. Okay, so let's see if our data is actually getting saved to our database. Right, let's go to budget items. First, let's select a category, and then it's loads up, and then housing. What else do you need for house? Let's say garden tools. Let's click save. Okay, let's try refreshing. Fresh housing. Yeah, we have. We did indeed save our budget item. Nice. Okay, we may need to add some other notification so that we can uh, determine that we have actually saved our data. We have no way of knowing that that data has been saved. Okay, so let's try just as adding a simple row here. Row. So this is where we will add our alert. Okay, let's check if you have here alerts. Uh, okay, let's try this one. Simple success alert. Simple success alert. Okay, let's try adding this one and show only show this if let's add a variable for our message string message. Let's just set it a string at empty. Okay, only show this one if third message string that is not space not okay. Then here let's can we close alert message? Let's just add okay. Alert message is equal to budget item. So successfully save. And then prior to that, let's clear our alert message. Okay. Then after that, we will need to filter items. Uh, need to do that and call it here so that our list gets refreshed. Okay. Let's try again. Okay, let's head back here. Let's check housing. Let's try other category. Small. Insurance. Okay, let's try this. Pet insurance. Projected cost. Cost. Save. Yep. So you have a simple alert. Oh, forgot to add the message. Okay. Message. Okay. Yep. Budget item successfully saved. And then you can see that it appeared here. So if you try refreshing this one, insurance, yeah, you can see that the one that we just added, in this case, pet insurance, already appearing here on the list. Great. Now we can uh, add some functionality wherein we can save our uh, budget item. So next thing, I guess, would be uh, saving changes to existing ones. Okay, so I've already have our existing budget items here. Maybe we can add a function that would save any changes to this. Okay, okay, so yeah, before we do that, let's set our alert message to have an option to close it, because right now it's just there. It's no way for us to remove the message. Let's check out back to our alerts, a component here for Bootstrap. Let's try dismissing. Okay, let's just add this button. Okay, then what else do we need? including these additional classes. Let's try and see if this would work. Okay, let's run this. Okay, let's go budget items. Let's choose the some test, save. Okay, budget item successfully saved. Let's click the close button here or X. Remove the alert. Doesn't seem to work. Uh, might have missed to add any JavaScript for Bootstrap. Okay, let's just try this one. Instead of relying on the JavaScript, let's just set this as lambda expression. Okay. Uh, let's set alert message is to equal string dot empty. All right. So yeah, simply would just remove whatever content the alert message has. So hopefully that should fix the issue. Let's try again. Test, click save. Yep. Then we can dismiss this or remove this by clicking. But we also forgot to clear out our form. So let's do that. After saving, okay, let's move this at the bottom and then set our, let's add some space here. Just processing budget item alert model and then set as new. That should reinitialize our form model. Okay. So if we do that, one, save, yeah, it clears up. Click to save, yeah, requires you to go through the validations. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, let's close this one. Just refresh. Yep. So next up is setting up our each of the individual items that allows us to edit it. So let's see. I have here simple form. So now instead of just a straight text, then we will need to add a control here. Okay, so set this as item.name. Remove that one. Now all of the name for the name column would be all input text. Mm, text start. Okay, fix that. Okay, cool. Now everything is an input. So we could, so maybe what we could do is when you uh, focus out of the control or the input, then that's the time that you can save the data or changes. Okay, let's try hooking up one first. Let's only do the name first. So on focus out, save item. Okay, so we don't have that. So I just control that and then gives an option. So let's see. Or we could call it as an expression or lambda expression. So what we can do is save item, then pass in the item. Okay. Next is can add the method. The license has been quite problematic. Save item, budget item. Okay. So let's try again just to see if we have hooked it up correctly. Save item, or again we can just add a breakpoint. Okay, rebuild and apply changes. Okay, choose one housing. We have mortgage and rent. Let's try edit and tab out. Yep, it hooks us up. Let's see and let's inspect the date, the class for that, and you can see that it did have the changes, mortgage or rent edit. So now that gives us the option to pass whatever change data in here back to our service to update. Okay, so okay, now we are missing something. Somehow we did not pass in the ID, so there's no way of us to track the ID for each budget item. Okay, so let's stop this one for the moment. Let's add an ID. Oops, is equal to x dot ID. Okay, let's add this property control dot, then generate property. Okay, so now we are also passing the ID of the budget item. So we have a way of tracking what item to update or change. Okay, let's go here. Let's remove this. Oops. Let's move this up. Okay. Okay. And then, yeah, it seems to be mapped correctly. And then here we can just do is budget service dot update item. Pass in the item. Since this is not created yet or added or part of the interface, why is IntelliSense not working for? Yeah, okay, let's just head on to our interface. Let's add that one. Void update. Budget item. Okay, simple as that. Now we need to implement that here. Rolling dot here and implement interface. Bottom. Okay. Now that we have that, first is we need to, of course, we need to have reference to our context. Budget EB context. And then we can pull our data. We can pull our entity first. Okay, item entity is equal to db dot budget items dot first or default. See, let's try find. Find key would be item.id. Okay, find would return. Okay, nullable. Okay, if item entity not equal to null, then here we can start setting up or updating our fields. Okay, so item entity dot, we are not changing the category yet. Let's do that later, but we can have the name, item dot name, item dot name, item dot projected cost, dot actual cost. Okay, that's it. And then do is db dot budget items dot update item entity, and then for it to actually get committed, then save changes. Okay, so yeah, that seems to be straightforward. Let's head back to our page. Just call that eight item. Then what else do we need to do? Let's change, add a budget item successfully. What should be the correct? Updated successfully. Let's try that one. Okay. Okay. Seems to be good enough. S- Let's run this and try editing. Let's see if it actually works. Okay, good. Head back to budget items, housing. Okay, let's try and big edit. Then tab out. Yep. Continue. Budget item updated successfully. Okay. Now if we try refreshing the page and hover back, yeah, you can see that our changes have been committed to our database. So now we can just do same thing for this other items. If just add the focus out event, see every time you focus out, yeah, it does trigger. I think a much more efficient way would be like uh, only if it has actually changed. Yeah. Or we could try hooking it up to, let's see, yes. So let's try on change instead of focus out, so that only when it's changed, on change. Okay, on change. So you now you can't add this one, this binding. Okay. Bind value is equal to item dot name. Can you actually do that? No. So how do you, or it isn't necessary? Is that even possible? If you have on change, so how do you bind? Since you have bind, you have two-way binding. How come can't do this item that? So we can't do both? So what would we end up with? Just like that. Save item. It's not even possible. Anyways, let's just do that. Save us the trouble. Change. Yeah. So on change, let's try searching for Blazor on change value. So we have data binding. Bind value and bind value event. Hopefully we get an answer for this one. So we have data binding, input value, bind value, and okay. Instead of binding, you can just use value straight up. That could, okay. I see. So at item that name. Okay. So let's head back. See. Let's try. Edit again. Tab out. Save successfully. Let's refresh. It doesn't. It doesn't. Doesn't trigger. How come? It's F9. So test item. Is it? Ah. Hmm. So it isn't actually getting saved, getting committed, but we might need to add event. So yeah. So we change event args, but we need to pass it E. So now we need to update this. Change event args event. Let's see. And value uh so if we do that, rebuild and apply. Let's see if, because looking at this one, you have input value, value on change. Yeah, you change event args. So you have input value past. Okay. So to edit and tab out. Now you have event data value, you have edit. So how do we know if this field, it came from save? it's much more complicated, I guess. So I've already straight up the value, so might as well just do the binding instead of this one. See again if we can make this work. And on bind on bind on bend on. Okay. It's just too complicated, so we might have to also pass what field is getting changed, then save some changes to it. Okay. Or yeah, field. Okay, let's try that. Let's try what field? String field. So pass in name. How do we pass a string? S- Is that even possible? Pass a string? Lambda expression. Um, string. S- Ah, can pass a name. Let's try an E. Uh, s- what's this one? Objective cost, actual cost, actual cost. Fields. Is this how you declare in enum? Right? Yeah. Why is it complaining though? Uh, says, ah, stop this. Let's try doing only the on change so that we don't like keep saving data every time you just focus out. Uh, let's see. Why don't we add it here? Uh, I, um, Yeah, let's just add a simple class. Let's name this. Oops. Save that. Let's add class form fields. So be an enum, then this in that. It's fine. Okay, we have that. Let's try adding or passing in form fields dot name. Yep, it's wrong. Yeah, change also the signature. It's fields. Okay, now this time change. So switch to field case case dot name. Set it break. Set the item the name to event value. Okay. And that value would be, let's map it as string and case form fields dot projected cost item projected cost is equal value again decimal. Same thing with this with the actual cost actual cost. Okay, that should fix this. So let's try. So basically at this point I forgot to turn on my mic, so it got muted. But anyways, this one I was already trying to test out if my code works, wherein I was trying to uh, make or edit or save the data only when it's being changed or on the on change event. And so at this point I was just testing out the rest of the code. So yeah, trying to go through each of the field, going from the name field and then testing out if it actually gets saved. And so yeah, the rest of this video, yeah, that's what I've been trying to do. And also completing the other fields wherein I just copy and pasted the rest of, I mean, the remaining field for projected cost and actual cost to hook it up to our save item method. And then after that, yeah, it should just work. So it would save whatever changes you have done on each of the budget item fields. Okay, so again, yeah, if you've uh, please forgive me with this one. So I totally forgot or messed up the recording on this uh, later part of the recording. So yeah. So please don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel to get updated with our latest video. And yeah, hope to see you soon, guys. Yeah, see you in our next episode.